1 minute. All right, thank you, counselors, for joining us. Thank you, those in the gallery, and thank you to those that are visiting online on our live stream. I'm going to call to order the Monday, November 4th meeting of the Sturgis City Council. And the first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there any discussion, or is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Oh, motion to approve with the addition of an item after exec for considering action on our vacancy in the legal department and the city administrator position.
Okay, we've got a first.
I'd second that.
We've got a second from Nick to approve the agenda with the addition of action after executive session for action on our open legal position and city administrator position. All those in favor of this motion indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion is carried. Everyone, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have some announcements and praise. Start off with Veterans Day on November 11th. City offices are closed as we have that holiday in observance of our veterans. Also on Saturday, November 9th at the Sturgis Community Center, we have We've Got Your Six program. That's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's a very important veteran organization that supports our community and all of our great veterans. Obviously, we've got an election coming up. I mean, I think everybody's probably seen plenty of text messages and mailers and all of those sorts of things. And I guess that's a good opportunity to get out and vote and to spin on a piece that Councilor Thompson's been working on called Neighbor Helping Neighbor. So if you've got a neighbor that is struggling to get to the polls, let's help them out because, community strong is where we're at. Does anybody have any additional announcements and praise? Nothing from the council? How about from the from our audience today? All right, we will continue on to item 5. And that is non-agenda item matters that come before council. Is there anything that any councilor would like to bring up that's a non-agenda item?
Kevin, I would like to propose that at some point in the near future that we consider returning Sturgis to a 5-day work week from what it is now 4 days. I've been heard that, and I think we need to consider that. The natural time to me seems to be when we have an election on the 7th of January. If we do that on a Monday, January 6th, and begin that process at that point, of course, that will take conversation as well as input from the community. But I'd like to have that at least be brought together sometime to talk about it in the council.
Jim, I mean, I understand the 5-day work week. I think that that's important. Would you, as we would bring discussion forward on that, would you also entertain the idea that departments have the ability to make schedules that work on that so that...
I would, especially that. I think that we need to be as flexible as we can under the circumstances.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's some importance if we're going to be considering that I mean, every department has peaks and valleys in their workflow, and allowing them to be able to manage that, I think, is important. What's the rest of the council?
I agree. I think it would serve, whatever serves the public best, but also serves our employees in the same way. So there's a balance between the two, giving the department heads that control over, because they know what's best for their department and how it would work best. So I agree.
Okay, so Jim, how would you see that coming forward? Is that part of the budget process?
Well, I hadn't thought about that part. What I was considering is because of the issues that have been brought up with the home meetings that I've been holding since I was elected, that comes up often with people wondering, some people don't understand why it started and wonder why it's still going that way. And so my thought in talking to other people in the city is that we just have the chance to discuss it. Obviously, we've got to make that as much community-oriented as we can. So I would say that whatever we do with it, the budget has got to be played into it. I don't know to what degree that would affect the budget, but it might.
It might have an effect one way or another, so we'll bring that as a topic of discussion soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anything else from council?
Would that impact policies and procedures as well, or no? That manual?
I'm not sure that that's written into the policy manual, but
I don't know either.
when we
Just
have the
raising the
discussion,
question.
we can evaluate that. No other non-agenda items. Is there any non-agenda item from the gallery tonight? All right. Well, hearing none, I think we'll continue on then to item 6, and that's tabled items. And our tabled item for tonight was a request from Tom's Teas to allocate royalty payments for use at the Sturgis Community Center. San Monahan presented that. What was the meeting date on that? That was back at the end of October, I believe.
Yeah, sometime in October.
September 2nd is what's on the,
I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, September.
Okay, good.
Yeah, nothing's changed with my request other than it's still the request and in play.
Well, we do have some pieces that we've actually, as a council, not necessarily this council, but as a Sturgis City Council had made a decision on November 3rd of 2001, when the city was considering buying the heritage marks. It includes, your
Correct.
father Tom's, heritage design that you're talking about here, that we would allocate the monies raised from that to rally charities and 50% to the Sturgis Rally Endowment. In holding that, I mean, that was a previous council decision, and obviously we are able to ratify that. But is that a desire of council, or would that be an acceptable, since that was truly what was earmarked when that was discussed, when those marks were purchased?
So you're, as opposed to going to the community center, it would just stay within Rally Charity?
Well, that's what the previous decision for those, the research was done that that's truly where it was earmarked to go.
Yep.
And, the minutes reflect that, or the meeting audio as well. And I'm just wanting to have the discussion that, on one hand, this is a slippery slope to earmark pieces out of our revenue profile.
Sure.
For certain things. Where does it, we know where it could start, but where would it stop? But in this case, it seems that there was already a decision made about where those could go. And I think, Tony, you would have been there, I believe.
2001?
November 3rd, 2001. Actually, the meeting, I think, way too long ago? Yeah, before Tony. BT.
With the purchase of those marks, with the city would have been It was when SMRI was, when they were defunct and the city, so what year was that? That was probably 2019, 2020, somewhere in there.
I think it was 2001 that we made the decision as a council to buy those heritage marks.
That was 23 years ago.
Yeah,
no,
no,
he's saying-
the chamber owned it up until-
2021, did I say
Yeah,
2001?
yeah.
You had us all.
Can't read the old notes right.
Yeah,
November 3rd, 2021.
that sounds closer. A little closer.
For conversation on
I'm
this.
looking for conversation on it before we start down the line. I mean, there was a council decision that earmarked
Sure.
those, I mean, it didn't reflect in the contract that we made with you, San.
Yeah, and there was, there's been a lot of turmoil, a lot of frustration in the last, actually the last 13 years over the rally and the logo marks and royalties, contracts, et cetera, et cetera. And when those would have been earmarked for the rally charities, I wasn't privy to those conversations. I wasn't part of that. That was something that the city council had made those decisions of where the money would go, and I didn't have any say in that. And I don't know if the other license holders, Black Hills Rally and Gold, if they had any say in that or not at that time.
Well, I've reviewed the meeting audio from that, video and audio from that meeting, and it certainly was stated that the heritage mark monies
Yeah, that was the intent, I believe, of
would
Mr. Ainsley.
would go to Sturgis Rally Charities and the Sturgis Rally Endowment in equal amounts. Again, I'm not saying that's what council needs to make the decision on, but that's what the previous decision was made.
I would say without denigrating a previous council, from my personal belief, so that whatever we do, it's not, charities and endowments should not be included, especially considering what we're doing, the difficulties we're having right now. This is not the time to give that money away. It doesn't have anything to do with the marks necessarily. It's just that I think that we should not consider endowments and charities.
You're saying that as a whole for,
Saying as a whole,
You don't wanna
I
give-
would, if I were in charge of doing that, I wouldn't have charities or endowments as part of what happens with the rally, only because at this point, Sam, I believe that the people in Sturgis that aren't here tonight, people that are just sitting out there having the 10 days in the rally or whatever else, they're probably not interested in that. They don't feel there's any advantage to the rally to them. And
well, if it
so,
wasn't for the fact of this logo that, my father created, you wouldn't have any of the money. And that money, to go to rally charities, at least it's gone back to the community, and not to just pay bills.
I understand what you're saying, but I would disagree with that. But that doesn't make us disagree necessarily. It's just I don't. The idea of giving the money to rally charities or to an endowment when we have citizens who don't think there's any benefit, I think there's a way that we could benefit the community better than that. So I would prefer we not include those two things at all, not have a category for them. Now, what we do with, again, what you're suggesting is to give it to a given a regular location like the community center. I think that's certainly that's something that I would accept you saying.
Yeah.
On the other hand, that's a precedent that we need to be careful of setting.
Sure.
I think I brought that up before. It has nothing to do with the history of it or the individuals. It's a bad precedent. But I appreciate you doing that.
For clarification, we're talking about $3,500. Is that correct, Ann?
Yep. And I think our last discussion was whether or not the money could, legally be moved from one account to the other.
Would you talk into the mic just for people that are
Sure.
listening?
San, would you be comfortable? Because I see the precedents we're going to set by doing this, because who's next that wants money to go wherever? Would you be okay with the rally and charities, if we put the 3,500 in that?
Well, I probably would have said yes, but Jim doesn't want it to go to Rally Charities, so,
I would rather see it go where it was agreed to go, to the charities and the endowment, rather than I appreciate what you want to do with it. I just worry, like Tony said, who's next? You know, are we gonna have the next 10 people standing in line demand, you know what I'm saying? I just, that's the only hang up I have with it.
Since that decision in 21, has the money been going there or no? To where it was intended, where that decision was made?
Honestly, I don't know if it's gone there, but I'm gonna say that chances are that at least a portion of it is gone there, maybe all of it, but I haven't had a chance to dig into every piece of what's happened since 2021, and for sure where I wrongly stated 2001. So again, I apologize for being off by 20 years on that, but
So would that be, I mean, if that's what we said is, we're gonna vote that it stayed at the endowment and the charities, is that
well, that's
acceptable
where,
to
yeah,
you?
I mean, that's where it's already going. So I guess it wouldn't have changed any.
Right.
Yeah, I was looking for it to go to a specific project instead of just get kicked to the curb and pay bills and et cetera, et cetera. That's never what it was designed for. It was something for the community.
I think we know for sure that it wasn't supposed to just end up in the general fund and get spent.
Right, and that's where it's been going for a long time. You know, there hasn't been anything specific, and I've been in, you know, and you might, because I'm here tonight, it's because it's a new council, new ideas. You know, before with the previous administration, it was falling on deaf ears.
So are you okay then with sticking to the status quo? And if not, is there a counselor willing to make a motion to change that?
What is the status quo? I mean, on one hand, we're saying it should have went into the charities, but you're saying it just went into the general fund.
Yeah, for me, that's where it had always gone.
I
It
would
was
say
just,
status quo is it should be going to the charities. and the
Right.
endowment.
Yeah. Say, Lance, can you address any of this at all?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Since 2001, that designation,
2021.
21?
sorry,
You
since
heard it.
2021, it has been split as far as I know. Prior to that, please note that the city did not own those marks. So any royalties paid on those would have gone to SMRI.
That's correct.
Does that clarify your question?
Well, I'd like to make a motion then, if there's no more discussion, that we stick with the status quo and monies from Tom's Teas go to allocate to charities and the endowment.
Equally?
Yes.
Okay, there's a first to stay with the 2021 council decision that the Heritage Mark proceeds go equally to Sturgis Rally Charities and the Sturgis Rally Endowment. Is there
And
a
that-
second?
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay. We've got a first by Tony, a second by Ruth. Discussion, San, you had a comment?
Yeah, is that for all Heritage or is that for Tom's Teas only? Because there's myself, Black Hills Rally and Gold, and there's significantly more money than your $3,500 you're discussing.
Well, by the information on the November 2021 council decision, that it was all proceeds from the Heritage Marks.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's where it was going, because I know, you know, Jim had indicated he didn't want it to go there.
Jim, are you all right with the motion? I guess we'll tell when you vote. I mean,
I would say that we're not given if we'd have a little more option, I would think at some point among those of us that want to discuss it more, I haven't really explained all of my thoughts, certainly not against Tom Tees at all, but rather just the idea that that money that is, regardless, no, I would vote no, but this is still a democracy. At least it is tonight.
And there was I think, a valid question about proceeds from heritage marks from other contract holders. And right off the top, I believe Black Hills Rally and Gold is one of the contract holders, if not the only. Lance, maybe you can.
That's correct.
So they're the only other licensed heritage mark contract
That pays a royalty.
that pays
That's
a
correct.
royalty. Are they in the same category as the 3,500? So we're really talking about $7,000. Is anybody able to?
It is slightly more than that.
Slightly
annually
more.
for Black Hills Rally and Gold.
Okay. Is that enough information for the vote, or do we need to seek more information before we call the question?
I've been thinking about this today. Can we set up, this is just discussion, can we set up at some point maybe like I feel like this is kind of what you want to do, have like a Monahan, I don't want to call it a charity thing at the community center, but a Monahan fund at the community center. Is that something we can do while we're discussing budget? Can we put that in the lines for people to donate money for stuff that they want to see there? Does that make sense?
So you're talking about something separate that's just donation, Nick? Separate
So,
from,
yeah.
well, obviously we can take donations for anything. What we're talking about right now is revenues that were generated off of contracts for use of the heritage marks. And I guess the decision for the council is do you want to stick with what was decided in 2021, or do you want to deviate from that? And we've got a motion and a second.
Is this, did I understand it's just Tom's Tees and one other? There's two
Black Hills Rally and Gold.
holders.
Yep.
That's correct.
Well, for my sake, I think it would be cleaner to do what you ask, make an exception, and clearly in the minutes, since he's approached the council at least twice in my tenure and before that with ideas, that I think it would be cleaner to just accept that as that one-time deal. And I would prefer that we not have I don't know at what point that the charities and endowments were brought forward, or I can understand if you think you make too much money to give some of it away. I do that in my personal life. So if we're tithing, so to speak, with that kind of stuff, but at a time when Sturgis is looking for funds, cutting expenses, and perhaps raising fees for people, and I think that giving it away is the wrong thing. And I think I'd rather say, let's go ahead and do what you're asking on this one time, reconstruct whatever we're going to do with the charities and endowments, and not do that anymore. At least for my purposes, I think that's this is done for the benefit of the community and the residents. And though it might, as a sideline, you certainly are saying, yes, we're giving it to donation to endowments and charities for whoever that is. Who decides those things? What charities are given? I have found in my broadcast time the things that have come up often are done. Somebody helps you a lot, and that's the group that gets the charity. Just who's deciding what charities those are given to? And it might be, they might be appropriate, they might certainly be, everybody's liking it, but we have 7,700 people that live here, and I think that giving the money away at a time when we're raising taxes and fees is not the time to do it.
Jim, or do you have a substitute motion then?
Well, since this proposal is for Tom's Teas specifically, I would, even though that's a precedent, the fact is if we in council are deciding that's going to be an exception because, and it has good reason for doing it, I think we all feel torn. One side, there's the emotional of it. We'd like to make sure that somebody like you has been given what you ask, but we're afraid of setting the precedent. But if the precedent is an exception, we're saying this, I would say that we accept the proposal to give the money to the community center as a one-time deal, and that we're in general not going to do that in the future. But I think that we have a good reason to not give money to the charities or the endowment. As good a reason as those might have had at some point, I think that we have today is the issue that we need to discuss. And if seeking funds are the issues, then I think we need to say that we're not giving that money away. That goes to the well-being and the use of the entire city of Sturgis.
Well, and if I may,
Please.
and not to kick the can further down the road, I really think that, you know, the direction that you're going or talking and Rally Charities, I think it probably should be a good discussion amongst myself and Black Hills Rally and Gold. And I know you haven't established your rally committee that the previous administration had, but it should probably, so we're all on the same page of the direction, you know, where it's been going to Rally Charities, to just cut that off, that could present an issue too. But obviously I do want this to go to a project that I've been talking with Rod at the community center as well. So I don't know, to defer it, to table it to down the road and talk to Black Hills Rally and Gold about it as well. Or
Are you saying that you wouldn't mind if we tabled it to get more information?
right, I'm okay with that. I'm
That
not in a
probably
huge
is
rush.
better than making a hasty decision, changing something that was done in 2021.
Just to piggyback on what Jim was saying too, I mean, it's not as if Santa's asking us to, throw the $3,500 in the garbage. I mean, it'd be going to the community center. That would be a benefit to the citizens.
Yeah, and specifically, it's what I've been talking with Mr. Hikus is a climbing wall for kids in the pool. I don't know if you've seen a climbing wall in swimming pools, but that's specifically, initially it was for the water fountains, and we had a family come forward graciously and donate. And B is to go after the climbing wall in the pool.
Just to clarify, we currently have a Rally Charities Committee that has a council member on it. I'm actually this year the council member that's on that.
Yep.
So that, Jim, that's how those have been decided, and they've got an application process. I'm just sharing the information. I had a hand. Janine, do you? Can you come up and we got people at home that'd like to hear.
My name is Janine Walker, and I've been a citizen in this community for a long time. Anyway, and I was on the chamber with Sam's dad, and Tom Monahan was very generous, and back in the 80s, he was donating $150,000. Is this mic on? Can you hear me?
Green light?
Anyway, so he was a precedence of generosity. And so through all of the licensing stuff, which we all went through, Is it on?
Is there a green light?
There you go.
Okay, I'm Janine Walker, and I've been a citizen of this community for a long time. And I sat on the chamber board with Sam's dad when he did the, so it was a time back in the 80s when he was giving away $150,000. And having been on the 501c3 boards in this community, there is a huge need for money. So that was part of what is supposed to make the city feel good about the rally, is the the licensing and the and the proceeds from there. And so, like you just pointed out, Kevin, if you want to get past your protocol of how you disseminate the funds, is that there's been a board. And so the money goes into the Raleigh Charities Committee. So the city community center needs to write a proposal for the climbing wall. And yes, put something, like donated by Raleigh Charities, the official Raleigh logo, which was our original logo. So you can solve it that way. But to say that we're going to take these royalty monies and put them in the general fund, that's going to raise a lot of problems in this community, because that's what those were created for. And unfortunately, this licensing never really paid off the way it's supposed to, because in my opinion, a lot of big mistakes were made, which is why they ended up on an online auction. But I'm glad the city got those. So to solve your own problem, write the proposal from the community center, build the climbing wall, take the money out of these funds, and problem solved. And keep those funds coming into these funds, that they get disseminated that way. To put it in the general fund right now, I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson, but that would cause a lot of problems in our community, because we have very few funds to disseminate as it is. So anyway, historically speaking, that's how we would do it. And then it's a win-win. You're not violating any of your own codes. Right? Because that's how the
guess.
money's disseminated. So you just write a proposal from the community center to build the climbing wall with the Raleigh Charities funds. And if San is passionate about that, then there should be a little something, this is built with Raleigh Charities funds from Tom's Teas and the official Raleigh logo that we used to know.
And that sounds great. Can the city entity request that?
Well, I would think so.
That was my
Legally?
question too.
That was my question too. Well, the
bylaws?
community center technically is part of the city, but it's still a 501c3. It's a nonprofit. I mean, it's not making any money, right? We all know that. I don't know if it's, but that's the question too. Right, I get that. But the slide was put in with Raleigh Charities money. Yes, the slide was put in with Raleigh Charities money years ago.
Yeah, and
Yes, it was. So
So the precedent is there.
the precedent is there. So put it in Raleigh Charities money, write the proposal from the community center, and build the climbing wall. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, well, with that, is there any further discussion or a alternate or substitute motion? All right, hearing no further discussion, Tony?
So, San, you'd be okay if we tabled this?
Well, and I would be okay with, what Janine, everything Janine just said too, and
Yeah.
continue on with your motion and your second, providing the city can apply for that. I was under the impression that the city could not do that. That's why I didn't go down that road. But if they can do that legally, I would be all for that.
Would it be something to table and verify that the city can? I mean, I know
sure.
Janine just said that
Or you
the
could-
slide was put in with it,
Or you
so
could put it on as a condition, condition to your motion that the city can apply for that. I'm not telling you how to do your motions, but.
Well, I think I'm gonna pull my,
You're gonna rescind your motion?
yes, please rescind my motion, and I would like to table this till November 18th so we can get some clarification and maybe a little more discussion with San and Black Hills Rally and Gold,
Yeah,
if everybody's okay, if you're
I would
okay with
second
that.
I'm okay with that.
All right, there's a first to table until the November 18th meeting for more information. Doesn't need, I think, to be any further discussion on this. Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
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 Those opposed, no. All right, that was unanimous. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and thank
Sam.
all of you. You guys are in tough seats, so I appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you.
thanks.
All right, continuing on to item 7. 7.1 is the 2025 City of Sturgis budget process. I put together in reverse order, so to speak, so that we could make sure that we met advertising deadlines and have a budget in effect by the first of the year, by the 31st, as indicated by our ordinance, and still provide for public meetings, public budget meetings. In order to do that, we're going to need to hold 3 special meetings. So going forward, next Tuesday, because of the Veterans Day holiday on Monday the 11th, next Tuesday, November 12th, we'll be addressing roughly a third of the budgets And, you know, if somebody wants me to read off all of them, but we're going to work through a third of the budgets on the November 12th meeting, the November 18th meeting, regular meeting. We're going to work through another third of the budgets. And the second special meeting would be November 25th, where we finalize our budgets. And we'll return on December 2nd at our regular council meeting for a first reading of the budget and a hopefully second reading of the budget on a special meeting December 9th. Again, this took 3 special meetings in order to provide the discussion publicly and develop a budget that our community is aware of and can understand, hopefully. And yet we still meet our advertising deadlines. And so, council, hopefully you're ready to go to work because we've got some work ahead of us. And additionally, in order to prepare for each one of these public sessions, our Legal and Finance Committee is going to meet every Wednesday this month as well, in order to make sure that that we have everything ready to make sure that we have a. Is there anyone from the council that sees this as the schedule as an issue, or is there anyone from the public that has comment on this? I apologize for three special meetings. If done again, we would spread this out into normal meetings and not end up. There will be some additional costs for us because we have to publish the meetings, publish the meeting minutes. But I feel that it's prudent in order to have public involvement in our budgeting process. All right, no further discussion? Well, let's plan to go to work.
Amen.
Item 7.2 is acceptance of our 2023 audit report by the South Dakota Department of Legislative Audit. Ann, do you want to address that?
This is just,
Did you need a motion on that last one, or is it just information? There's motion.
Just an information report.
Okay, sorry.
that's okay. This is just simply a letter from the South Dakota Department of Legislative Audit, and they are just informing the mayor and the council that the 2023 audit has been accepted and reviewed and received, reviewed, and accepted. And so it's done. It's good. Everything came back fine.
Okay, so for reference, members of the public can get the copy of that audit by going to the Legislative Audit webpage and navigating the municipalities and annual reports and finding the report for 2024 for the city of Sturgis. Also, that audit report will be on our website. Is that correct, Deb? And so that the full audit will be available on there. There are some findings, and you're working through some of those very diligently. And to kind of circle back, we have a contract with Casey Peterson, CPA firm, to help us work through some of the revenue portions that we're showing in that audit. And they've been on site and started their work, have they not?
Yes, they have.
And so as part of this budget process, we need to ratify 2025 budgets. So we need to make sure that we're providing them and providing you all the time to get that done. So
We're working on them. We're getting there.
yeah, thank you for the hard work. I've heard you've made some progress recently.
Yes,
So
the last week has been a good one.
outstanding. Continuing on to our consent agenda, we have 5 items on the consent agenda today. Are there any of the consent agenda items that members of the council would like removed for further discussion individually? Or is there any items that the public would like removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to take 8.4 off of the consent agenda.
Okay, we'll discuss 8.4 separately. Is there anything else? All right, hearing nothing, is there someone that'd be willing to make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item 8.4?
I'd make that motion.
First by Nick,
Second.
a second by Jim to approve the consent agenda minus item 8.4. All those in favor indicate by stating yes.
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 Those opposed, no. Item 8.4. Can we maybe have Rick talk about that a little bit, or Dave, or? Understood.
Sorry, what we're doing is setting a public hearing on this one for discussion at the next meeting. Do you have questions that I might be able to answer for you now?
Steve Anders, was he at the public hearing, or have you talked to him about this? Stephen Anders wrote to me to say that he thinks that de-annexation is not in the best interests of the city. And I don't know any more than that, Dave. I just wanted to bring it up so that I at least had some understanding.
This is approximately 55 acres of property that was annexed in many, many years ago. It's going to be developed by the owners up there. The problem is we can never provide them with services, i.e. water or sewer, because of its location and topography. So that's why the de-annexation. We could have made them build it to different standards, but we would never take the roads on, and we would never plow it. It's all going to be a road district for them anyway. So,
Jim, I think there's going to be extensive discussion when we talk about this item. I mean, again, we're setting the public hearing. There is a petition to de-annex that property, and I think Dave covered some of the reasons. I think when we get to the full discussion on that, we'll get a report from Rick from Public Works that state law dictates that we maintain roads that have one side of city ownership. So that means Sly Hill remains in city ownership up to the BLM, the top of the hill there, because it's City of Sturgis property on the south side of the road there, and that we can't provide utility services. There probably would be discussion on other services, whether it be law enforcement or ambulance or any of that sort of stuff, but I think those would happen under the actual hearing on this. Are you okay to proceed with setting the public hearing?
I am, yes. Thank you, Dave.
thank you.
Would somebody be willing to make the motion to set the public hearing?
Motion to approve, set the public hearing.
All right, motion to set the public hearing by Ruth.
Second.
Second by Jesse. Those in favor of setting a public hearing for November 18th for consideration of the de-annexation of property on the top of Slide Hill. I'm not going to read the whole legal description here. Indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right. Moving on to item 9, that's approval of claims. I'd like to note that in the claims list, we do have a very large, well, not very large, but pretty large, $26,142.25 claim that we need to remove from our Sturgis Volunteer Fire Department, is who the invoice was made out for. This is actually a 2025 invoice, so that'll be coming back in the first meeting of January, correct?
That's correct.
So minus those, that claim, is there any questions on any of the other claims that are listed? Nothing from council? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the claims minus the $26,142.25 for the volunteer fire department insurance?
So moved.
Second.
First by Tony, second by Jim. All those in favor of approving the claims, I'm going to actually roll call because we'll spend the money. So Tony,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and Nick.
Yes.
All right, we are unanimous. Next item on the agenda is under Board of Adjustments. So we will be leaving our normal city council meeting and convening as the Board of Adjustment to consider approve a side yard setback. Dave, we've got to go through the process here. We don't have an attorney tonight, so I guess I'm going to read the oath. I guess we can both stand up. Do you swear to affirm, pardon me here. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give to the board in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Adjustment. The item before you is presented for Mark Augustin, who lives at 3136 Van Ocker Drive. He submitted an application for a side yard setback variance to go from 10 feet to 8 feet to build a garage structure on his property. The lot is currently described as Pine Acres, Lot 8 through 9, Block 2, Black Hills Meridian, in the city of Sturgis, and Meade County. Some variance consideration criteria. Variances, and when determining variances, the Board of Adjustment must specifically address certain criteria when determining whether to grant or deny the variance request. This criteria stems from statute and city ordinance. The board must address the specific criteria in their oral and written decision. The variance criteria are: special circumstances or conditions exist, such as exceptional narrowness, topography, or relaxation of the zoning ordinance provides a quantifiable benefit for the city and the surrounding neighborhood, or strict application of the zoning variance would deprive the applicant of any reasonable use of his land, i.e. hardship. A mere loss in land value does not justify the request of a variance. There must be a deprivation of beneficial use of the land. The variance provides the minimum adjustment necessary for the reasonable use of the land, and by granting the variance, it is in harmony with the general purposes and the intent of the zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood, detrimental to the public welfare, or in conflict with the comprehensive plan. The property is currently zoned Mobile Home 1. Mobile Home 1 is where you own the home and the land. Signage was placed on the property on September 3rd, 2024. 27 landowner response forms were sent out. 6 were returned with approval, 1 denial, and 1 unclaimed. And some of the hardships spelled out: there is a well on the property, as you can see sitting up there, that is used for irrigation. To construct it any closer would cause him he would not be able to use that well. And normally in our medium density residential zoning, if this were in town, there wouldn't be a request for variance setback because those have been lowered now. That's 5 feet on the sides to the eave and 10 feet and 10 feet in the front and rear. So the mobile home 1 is very strict as far as the setbacks are concerned, and it is quite a large lot, and the property has been cleaned up considerably from what it used to be.
They have the structure that they're gonna be building, that's all in floodplain. Will that meet all the criterias for being in the floodplain?
It has been engineered and would be flood vented, so
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
And the plans were approved by Region 8 of FEMA.
Okay, thank you.
And just for reference, the planning board has approved this.
I'm sorry, yes, the Planning and Zoning Commission did hear this and approve it. They sent it to you for approval.
And we did have a good response from the neighbors on,
Yeah, the responses were all good. There was one denial. And I'm not gonna go into why I think it was what the denial was, but there's one denial and one not returned. The other ones were all approval.
all right, thank you. Any questions, concerns from council or from the Board of Adjustment? Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I will second.
Motion by Jesse, second by Jim. Those in favor of considering the adjusting the side yard setback for this property at 3136 Van Acker Drive indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to adjourn the Board of Adjustment and reconvene as the Sturgis City Council. Item 11 is public hearings, and the public hearing is consideration to approve the renewal of on- and off-sale liquor and wine licenses for the year 2025.
These licenses run from January 1st to December 31st. We have 2 off-sale liquor licenses, which is the city's, 9 on-sale liquor licenses, and 19 on-off sale wine licenses. We received $13,500 in fees from the on-sale liquor licenses and $9,500 in fees from the on-off sale wine licenses. And everyone is current. Everyone is paid.
Outstanding. Is there any questions or concerns on the list of licensees?
Chief, everything's okay? I see you've approved it, but I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
All right, is there a motion?
I motion to approve.
I'll second. I'll second.
All right. Motion by Tony, second by Nick.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, very good. To approve the renewal of the on and off sale liquor and wine licenses for the year 2025. Those in favor indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right, that is carried. Now we're on to item 12, reports. Our first report is consideration to approve the second reading of zoning amendment for 957 Sherman from medium density residential to general commercial.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the second reading of an item. Zoning request amendment was submitted by EPTF Realty South Dakota LLC, Harley Davidson. They're the owner of this property located at 957 Sherman. The property is described as Fort Meade Addition, Lot 35 through 38, Block 3. Property is currently zoned as medium-density residential housing. The applicant is requesting a zoning change from medium-density residential to general commercial. If you look back, you approved the plat in the consent agenda to replat these lots together. The lot is currently empty. The owner wishes to replat, which we just did. And the address will be done 1040 Junction Avenue. Their property will be addressed as that, and the future plans are to add additional parking for the Harley-Davidson store in the rear. And there have been no changes since the first reading.
Thank you, Dave. Anyone from council have any questions on this item? Is there someone willing to make a motion to approve the second reading of this zoning amendment?
I motion to approve.
First by Tony.
Second.
Second by Jim to rezone 957 Sherman from medium density medium-density residential to general commercial. This is the second reading, so it'll be official after it's published 20 days.
That's correct.
Those in favor of this motion indicate by stating yes.
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 Those opposed, no. Very good, that is carried. Item 12.2, consideration to approve signature cards with First Interstate Bank.
This is to remove and add names for those that will be available to sign checks. Those going on are Kevin Forrester, Ruth Kopp, Ann Berlotto, Rick Bush, and Jody Vandewater.
And to clarify, you need signatures from someone other than yourself for expenditures of your own department. So
Correct.
you're not signing your own checks, so to speak.
Right. So, and this will be readdressed also after the election.
After the January 7th election, we'll revisit this.
Yes.
Is there any questions from the council? How about from the public? Is there a motion to approve the list of signature card holders?
Make that motion.
And I'll second.
First by Nick, second by Jim. Those in favor of the list of signature card holders indicate by stating yes.
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 Those opposed, no. All right, 12.3. These are temporary appointments to our various boards. Given the absences we have, we need to point out that technically we are a body of 6 right now, so that means a quorum is 3. We've historically had 4 members on every committee, and now we're trying to not trying. We have to hold to 3 to adhere to South Dakota open meeting laws. The list of appointments is pretty lineal. For the most part, it is included counselors that can make the meetings, because earlier in the meeting I stated we're going to have a legal and finance meeting every Wednesday, and it's not going to be a 1-hour meeting. It's going to be a 2 or 3 hour meeting, and that's so that we don't have a 5-hour council meeting. There is one appointment that the body needs to discuss, and that's the Rally and Events Subcommittee. We haven't had a meeting of the Rally and Events Subcommittee since the April election. I want to see Rally and Events meet, and so as we discuss those appointments, because as you see on that now, there's actually 4 bodies showing on that. We're looking for people to work on that and can actually attend that. So do you have any input on that so that we can get to a motion to approve these temporary board assignments?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Jones and I have discussed the possibility of our switching that so that I could be on that committee and he not, and make it just 3. Is that correct, Nick?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. If everybody else is, just because I'm out of PTO, so I'm really only available after 5 o'clock during the week. If we did it on a Friday, I could do it, but it would have to be Friday afternoon.
Would we be able to do it on a Monday, that meeting?
What time?
I'm open all Mondays. I just have Mondays off, so.
That works for me, but of course
Monday.
you won't be on, so that works fine for me.
Monday mornings are a little bit, terrible.
Difficult
but
for you.
Monday mornings are bad, but we can,
But we can set it any time.
yeah.
We're going to need to meet almost every week, so it would be difficult Monday afternoon prior to this, but we could probably fit that in. And you're free, Tony, is that
Yes,
right?
anytime on Mondays, most of the time I'm free, so.
Don't you have a 1 o'clock time available, Jesse?
I can probably make it work.
It's better than the morning,
And
right?
we could also set it to your schedule too, whatever,
I never know when my schedule.
That's true.
Well, to point out, it's tough when, these are part-time appointments. I appreciate you working that out. Is somebody willing then to make a motion to approve these appointments and provide for the direction in that Rally and Events Committee?
I'll make that motion.
And that would be to follow the list that I brought forward with the addition of you and Nick not being on rallying
I'll take
events
this
and you
place, yeah.
being on the place. That's clear. Is there a
That
second?
exception, yes, that would be,
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
All right. There's a first by Jim, a second by Ruth. Those in favor of these committee appointments indicate by stating yes.
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 Those opposed, no. All right, thank you. Again, it's time to go to work.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, may I just suggest, I'm not trying to get too far ahead of us, but could we meet on Monday afternoon? Tony, that works for you if we tried to meet at 1 o'clock?
Sure.
That would be our first meeting, and one of the reasons is to try to get the budget. We have to get a budget settled.
I think I might be tied up Monday afternoon, but
All
Let's
right.
just shoot for it, and if it works, it works. If it don't, we can still.
You guys will figure it out.
Leave your proxy.
All right, thank you. Item 12.4 is consideration to approve the reinstatement of the administrative team members. What this is we had some help coming from two of our senior staff that oversee large sections of our city, our largest departments. Jody Vandewater through all of our public safety, and Rick Bush through our operations side, our public works. They've agreed to rejoin the administration team, and I can tell you I certainly appreciate that because we are in a timeline that we are having a heavy lift. And having them not only, running our departments, but helping provide input on our internal affairs is important. I would be happy if the council would approve this reinstatement. Is there any discussion on that?
I think that's a great idea. Thank you for facilitating that.
Any comments out of the audience? Those in favor indicate on this reinstatement indicate by stating yes.
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 Those opposed, no. All right. That brings us to the end of our normal agenda. I'll note that the next item is executive session. We do have executive session discussion and personnel. In legal, we do not have a legal representation, but we do have a review of the list left by our former city attorney that we want to discuss. And we do have a contractual item to cover. I would be interested in entertaining a motion to go into executive session for these items, and that the council remove themselves because as we approve the agenda, we have action after executive session, so we'd like our members of the public to be able to remain seated.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Those in favor of going into exec indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. I expect Should I set the clock different? Would that help? Or follow what the legislature does? Maybe hang a cloth over the clock so that, all right, we're back in regular session. Post-executive session, we have one counselor still absent, so we're going to stand down for just a moment here as we wait for the return of our final person. We apologize for the delay. We expected it to only be 20 minutes, but we had good discussion.
I think you underestimated what the intention of 20 minutes. Should have said 50, then we'd have been early.
Outstanding experience. I'll get back to there. We had discussion about our current legal situation. Is there anyone that has some input or some discussion on the city's path forward for legal representation?
Well, we need legal representation. I think
A request for proposal.
an RFP would be a good way forward.
We've talked about contract services for our legal side for a bit here. I would agree that issuing an RFP would be a good path forward.
What are the parameters? Sturgis and Black Hills or South Dakota for RFPs?
Well, somebody that could meet the terms of the RFP. I mean, obviously, it'd be kind of hard for somebody from Sioux Falls to probably be competitive with someone that was local, but I guess we don't know until we see what would be returned to us.
I think at least get the RFP out and then get the proposals back and discuss those when we get them back.
Wise.
So what's a reasonable amount of time to have the RFP out and expect responses? 30 days?
30 days I think would work.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the sooner the better, but we've got to get, give time for people to see it and put a proposal together.
Well, would there be a motion to direct staff to develop an RFP?
I think maybe Bonnie had a,
I was just wondering how you're thinking about it. Is your expectation that someone,
Bonnie, I hate to do this, but can you come up to the mic? Just,
I'm sorry, I forgot. Bonnie Alberts, Sturgis. I just was wondering what your expectation was that that your legal representative would attend the meetings, or would you be amenable to them communicating with you from a distance by?
Look at how the proposal comes in, but if we have adequate reporting, there should be some piece that our legal department, or our not department, but our legal representation can provide input prior to meetings, that wouldn't be required to attend the meeting. Because what we're asking for is a legal opinion on specific items and not a personal opinion that we might get from a direct meeting attendance. That's my point of view. Is any from council got something different?
When I checked for prices, the gentleman that I spoke to indicated that it would be very applicable for someone to make a package that would include a 3 or 4 hour meeting if necessary without charging per hour. So it's possible that we could get a meeting price as well as an hourly price for other issues.
Okay.
I think it goes back, let's see what we get back and
Yep,
see what
good
they
idea.
offer, and we can make our determination off of that.
Well, and if you write that profile open enough that you invite some creative thinking about how to serve our needs here, that could turn up some good stuff.
Good. We can knead the bread.
Thank you.
Good one.
Is there any motion to make this direction and issue the RFP?
I motion we send out a request for proposal for legal services, 30-day time period to get the applications back, so that would make it December 4th.
I'll second.
All right, is there any further discussion on the motion to issue an RFP for legal?
Just for clarification, you would want to have them back prior to and be able to act on them on the 4th?
I would say actually get them to us by the 4th, and then
You would act on the
9th.
16th
The 9th.
We have a
We
special
have
meeting.
special
special
meetings.
meeting on the 9th.
of
We could-
December? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anything from the public? All right, I'll call the question. Those in favor of the motion indicate by stating yes.
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 Those opposed, no. That motion carried unanimously. On the topic of the city administrator position. We've got a job description that was approved by the Sturgis City Council on July 29th. So that portion has been done. Is there a desire from the council to open that position up and see what we can come up with for candidates for our vacant city administrator position?
I
Go ahead.
I was going to say yes. I believe that just like we have just done for our legal services, and since we already have the job description, it's time for us to go ahead and open it up and put it out there and advertise for it and see what we can get for 30 days. Same timeline.
30 days?
I agree with Ruth. The sooner, the better. We can get that position filled.
Okay, do we, in the discussion, is there some, we've not set an exact wage for that, do we? Is someone willing to open that up and potentially bring forward a more discussion on what wage that would be?
I think $130,000 to $145,000.
130 to 145? Does that sound acceptable to council?
I think there are higher prices somewhere, but I think that would get us in, at least into someone that might be interested. And negotiate from there.
Okay. Is there any input from the public on that? Jim, are you willing to make a motion on that?
Happy to make a motion. Make a motion that we advertise for a city administrator. Do that for the next 30 days at an advertised price of a range of $130,000 to $145,000 a year.
All right, so we've got a first by Jim to open up the city administrator position using our job description that council created in July at a wage of 130 to 145. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Council or public? Those in favor of the motion, please indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. All right, that motion carried. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to approve adjournment.
First by Tony, second by Jim. Those in favor of adjourning indicate by stating yes.
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you. was a 2-hour meeting.